You are listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast. Hello and happy November, Free Spirit listeners. I am your host, Brandy Williams. You're listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast. We have some pretty good transits this week. It feels like a mixed bag for me. Mm, it feels like a mixed bag. There's some good transits this week, but there's some question mark transits too. So we're starting off the week with a mixed bag, some planetary changes. There are quite a few transits unfolding in the cosmos right now. So let's go ahead and get into that. Yesterday, Sunday, November 2nd, Venus in Libra squared Jupiter in Cancer at 25 degrees. So the planet of delight and pleasure and harmony, squaring the planet of expansion and optimism. A really good start to the week. There could have been some good conversations today, good food, not super good for hard work, motivation, and staying on task and implementing all the to do things that could come with a Sunday. Instead, we may have found ourselves wanting to lounge and rest more, then prep for the week. We may have felt inclined to some excess. So we overeating, binging on our Halloween candy, overspending, drinking, gambling, any type of overindulgence could be a thing this week. Expensive purchases could be a thing. And then today, Monday, November 3rd, we have Mars in Scorpio trining Neptune retrograde in Pisces. Super chill and vibey and dreamy and low key. This transit could have us desiring a really slow start to the week. So we're kind of rolling off that Jupiter Venus square. Maybe we feel a little tired. Some of us could be, partied out from the festivities over the weekend, or we could just be in a really low key meditative space. There's a lot of energy in the water signs happening right now. So I could imagine a lot of us feel really tired and introspective, just really want to be low key and, in our inner worlds right now as we sort a lot of things out. So we could find ourselves in a meditative space, really craving solitude, simplicity, walks in nature, releasing energy with mind and body movement and art, drawing, and things like that. And we could also start the week receiving intuitive nudges, downloads, and cryptic dreams. I feel like there are some tensions possibly under the surface as we are coming into this Taurus full moon happening on the 5th. So we want to be careful not to confuse our intuition with anxiety. This transit is happening at the 29th degree of a sign, which is like the final exam degree. The 29th degree can also bring a sense of urgency. So we just want to make sure we're talking to that quiet knowing part of our higher selves versus, the squirrely, anxious, primitive brain. Tuesday, November 4th, Mars is going to leave its domicile in Scorpio and enter the sign of Sagittarius. So this is pretty cool. Mars is less intense and less like laser focused, but he's still about that action. So Mars in Sagittarius is on a quest for his holy grail of the truth. He's doing his Gandalf the Grey type thing. He's looking for wisdom. He's looking for the higher purpose and the existential meaning of life. During Mars's journey in Sagittarius, we can feel more impulsive and eager to embody higher knowledge. We can feel restless in the mind and in the body, wanting to walk more, wanting to move more. Maybe we want to be out in nature and take hikes. This is a time where we could have this inclination and desire to travel or experience new things, to read books that really provoke these philosophical thoughts. We could find ourselves wanting to take more risks and explore spiritual expansion or just really getting out of the normal routine and getting into something new. Some of the things that we want to watch out for, especially because Mercury is in Sagittarius too, getting ready to station retrograde, we want to watch out for overextending ourselves, overcommitting, but also being dogmatic, preachy, opinionated, getting on our our pulpits and preaching down on somebody and all of those things, like getting into like debates and stuff, which is going to definitely be a theme of this next transit because as soon as Mars enters into the sign of Sagittarius, he's going to immediately oppose Uranus retrograde in Gemini. This can be a very explosive transit. We have Uranus, who is here to liberate us out of things. This is a wild card energy. It's retrograde. It's going back into Taurus this week. So I can imagine there are these re-examinations happening in our values and resources and the people or endeavors that we are aligning ourselves with at this time could be up for review. Do we stand for the same things? Are we still on the same page with certain people? Some of the things that we could expect this week and even in the following weeks are shocking discoveries and information revealed that could be exciting or disturbing, breakdowns in communication, big thoughts, ideas, and opinions that people are trying to push on others, people lashing out at those who have tried to exert authority, control, or, power or judgment over them. There could be conflicts and disputes that go left real quick, conversations that just roll into a confrontation out of nowhere. This could lead to physical altercations. Mars in a fire sign, be ready to throw them hands. So we want to watch what we say this time, watch what we are putting on social media because this Sagittarius energy is heavily associated with legal matters and laws. And if we start posting things and saying things about people without consent or the right protocols, we could find ourselves in legal hot water. We want to avoid cussing out people of authority, avoid cussing out your professor and get into debates with the professor, your pastor, the judge, some type of legal counsel. Just watch what you say this week. We also want to be on the lookout for any issues with storms, electrical issues, knock on wood, electrical fires. Mars opposing Uranus does bring those types of situations, internet issues. Be careful with any sharp instruments because this is a transit that could bring accidents and transportation catastrophes. So, be extra careful with travel plans this year if you are taking a plane, even trains. Definitely not ruling out automobiles. Watch for road rage. Transportation issues are highly likely when Mars is opposing Uranus. Now, on the other hand, if you've been pursuing new endeavors, you're putting some skin in the game, making certain moves, trying to get out of a rut, there could be some really exciting, surprising, or even unexpected opportunities, news, or developments on the way. Sometimes shocking and surprising could be really, really good and bring financial windfalls. Wednesday, November 5th, we have our full moon in Taurus. Full moons often reveal things, they bring things to peak climaxes, they illuminate needs for change, they ask us to end something in that area of life that the moon is transiting in. So we have the sun at 13 degrees of Scorpio, the moon at 13 degrees of Taurus. The ruler of the moon in Taurus is Venus in Libra at 28 degrees, and Venus is at the end of her stay in Libra. She's opposing Chiron retrograde in Aries. She is headlining this whole thing with the full moon in Taurus. So, this full moon is more than likely highlighting relationships, values, self worth, money, art, beauty, aesthetic, things like that, harmony and friendships, but also themes of control, financial situations, being on the same page with resources, and just deep emotional undercurrent in these relationships, partnerships, and things like that. So there could be some triggering discoveries coming up. There could be issues that have been brewing for a while that are coming to this climax point. They're coming to a head. Emotions are spilling over. There's a breaking point that could be happening this week that leads to some type of explosive emotional outburst or a major rift. There could be bridges being burnt this week. Now, if this doesn't apply, let it fly, because sometimes you could just hear about this thing or you could somebody who's going through something like this. But for some of us, we have been entangled with and entertaining people, substances, situations, projects that are out of integrity with our values, with our resources, and with our self worth. The resources we've been giving are not matching the service or the respect that we've been receiving. And the full moon wants us to know that our integrity and self worth is too expensive and it's too valuable for a discounted price that we've been giving it away at. And for some of us, we are out of alignment with our own values and our own resources, the way we spend money, the way we have money. Some of us think that we need to create more money, but really we need to look at our money habits. Some of us are supposed to be saving and being healthy, but we keep buying candy and, my hand is raised. We keep buying courses, we keep buying lounge sets. Some of us have these subscriptions to things and services that we don't even use. This full moon is talking to the north and the south node of the moon. Remember, the north node is in Pisces and the south node is in Virgo. So those nodes working with the eclipses have been telling us all year that it's time to walk away from certain habits, the habit of overthinking, needing to control things, over sacrificing, being in martyrdom, the need, to do things perfect and being in perfectionist energy, criticizing, self criticizing. And also, there is a need to walk away from ignoring the red flags, the need to stop ignoring the red flags while we sedate ourselves with escapism, addictions, avoidance, toxic positivity, spiritual bypassing. There are certain things that we are allowing to be in our spaces that's kind of stifling the things that we say we want to do and the directions that we say we want to be in. It's time to get back into our spiritual center and release the things that we are not aligned with, release draining situations, release these endeavors, projects, and agreements with people and for people that you really don't want to do, that is not really aligned with your value system, and come back to your cosmic GPS, come back in alignment with spirit and in your solitude so that you can hear the redirection and the recalibration that the divine is trying to lead you towards. Now, for some of us, this full moon indicates big things popping. Some of us, we have seeds that we planted during the Taurus new moon that occurred April 27th, 2025. And now we're starting to see a lot of these seeds begin to sprout and to come into fruition for us. They're bursting out of the ground, and it's a lot of things that we've prayed for. We're starting to see something that we've put into motion begin to manifest at this time. So blessings are in the neighborhood for all of us right now, even if it feels like a setback. There's something that's happening right now that is working for our highest good. And Spirit says it's time to unsubscribe to any person, place, or thing that isn't giving you what you are putting in. There's a there's an energetic mismatch. It's not aligned with where we're trying to go. There could be grief, longing, and sadness as we've witnessed something that's trying to detach from us, that needs to part with us, or some type of change that we need to make. But ultimately, this full moon is asking you to look at your self worth stories, look at the triggers, because you deserve reciprocation, you deserve good things. And for some of us, this is, fear keeping us away from something good. Let good things be alongside of you. Let good things happen for you. By Thursday, November 6th, things start to get a little nasty. Mars in Sagittarius is going to sextile Pluto in Aquarius. So, on one hand, this is really good for motivation, for willpower, to change something, to get some shit done, to realize that something is no longer aligned. But like all Mars and Pluto transits, there is a theme with power plays and manipulation. People exerting, power and control dynamics over others, cruel intentions, manipulation, just all the little nasty things that could happen when Mars and Pluto start to interact with each other. And then later on that evening of November 6th, Venus is going to leave Libra and go into the sign of Scorpio. So Venus is leaving her space of harmony and balance and friendliness, and she is entering a more deep and intensified relationship environment. She is in a space where she's looking at her money very closely. She's looking at the finances. She's looking at what she's investing in as far as her time, her energy, her resources, who she's sharing that with. And she's very concerned about her emotional safety and her financial security when she's in the sign of Scorpio. We can see perhaps some tempering of past grievances or an attempt to just really get on the same page with our finances, our values, and our shared resources. But by Friday, there's going to be, more financial stuff, more attention in this Taurus Scorpio axis. We have Uranus re entering the sign of Taurus. This is the same part of life that the full moon just took place. This is coming to shake us down, shake us out of something. We could see like resources and relationship issues really flare up on Friday, probably before then. But when Uranus goes into Taurus, we are revisiting some unfinished lessons about money and stability, our self worth. There could be sudden changes and shocks. Uranus first entered Taurus in March of 2018. We could see some type of rhyme or, revisit of some type of situation that happened around that time begin to resurface for us. But ultimately, this is a revision, a redo, or a situation where Uranus is coming to break us out of some type of financial cage or stagnant situation, even a financial comfort zone that is no longer aligned with us. So, this is possibly going to feel super uncomfortable. It's going to be here until April of 2026 because wherever we have Taurus, whatever part of life we have Taurus in, that part of life doesn't like fast changes and it doesn't like changes like probably at all, but it's ultimately something that's going to liberate us in one way or the other. Finally, on Friday, we have Venus and Scorpio squaring Pluto in Aquarius at 1 degree. And this is likely a relationship tension that has boiled over, that is about to come to a climax and like a volcanic eruption. So there are some relationships that we are clinging to out of insecurity and fear. And a lot of the times, these relationships are not feeling really good. They're exerting power over us. There's just a lot of stuff going on, a lot of manipulation, overexertion of power, power plays, unhealthy dynamics of control, jealousy, and just like a lot of backbiting, just some like sketchy shit, financial secrets. And there is going to be some sort of breakdown in this relationship. This breakdown could come from financial secrets, financial strain. There could be a financial emergency that's kind of like the hair that broke the camel's back, some type of situation about shared duties, custody, debts, taxes, inheritances, stuff like that. And these issues could be causing some major rifts in even the most solid bonds could see a situation occur this week where the foundation gets tested. But definitely, if there are tensions that have been simmering, this transit is going to shake up the spot and bring all that shit from under the surface right up on the table. So, some of the things that we could expect in this is more manipulation, more frustration, power plays, control tactics. But this can also be a situation that comes to a head and then there's a transformative experience where two people get closer. A profound emotional experience in relationships can happen because after the band-aids ripped off and all of the tensions come to the surface and spill out, perhaps there is some type of realization and getting on the same page. This can also indicate deep self-analysis or work with a therapist, coach, or healer. Hard truths that can be hard to hear, but ultimately very transformative. So, this week, yeah, I mean, it's not so bad. It's a mixed bag, but it could go either way. We may feel some things though this week. This could be good things, it could be bad things, things on the news, collective outrage. There are thoughts that could happen this week that could lead to feelings, but feelings are not facts and feelings change. So we want to pause and question our assumptions. Um, that angry, repetitive narrative in your head, that is not your intuition. That is your fear brain saying, make a move and do something and do it right now to level the playing field, regain control. This is a good week to try to remain detached, especially before Venus goes into Scorpio while she's still in Libra. Remain detached and just observe. Observe the conversation, observe and come into quiet and stillness. Ground the energy. Go for a nature walk this week. Touch a tree so that you can hear your intuition because she's really quiet and we want to be calm. We want to be kind. We want to woo-sa and avoid making permanent decisions from temporary emotions. That is all I have this week. And thank you for listening. And I hope to see you next week. Bye. You are listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast.